I'm going to take this $2 Tyco car, and for $7.45 worth of materials, I'm going to make it perform as well as a $50 car. Follow me on this journey, and I'll show you how. Hello! Welcome back to Classic Model Trains. I'm Ron. This is my second part, or part 2 of a series of tuning cars. Last week's show was about tuning the mid-grade to the lower upper grade of cars. And of course these mean that they've already got body mounted couplers and that they've probably got nicer trucks on them that just need a little bit of work. Now what we're working with today is the department store cars, or the entry level or low end cars. They'll almost always have the Talgo trucks, that's couplers that are mounted on the trucks, plastic wheels, you know, they're inexpensive, they're starter cars. A lot of us have them though. A lot of us have our favorite ones, and we want them to run really well. So, got some hints and tricks for you. Let's get started. We're going to start off with one of these Tyco quad offset hoppers. Completely stock with its original couplers, wheels, trucks, everything like that. In order to service these things, you know, these trucks, you just take them and you can just pop them right off. Now, if we want to update to some Kadees, I buy these things, these 148s in a bulk pack, because I'm kind of busy converting everything over. So I do go through a lot of them. And this original coupler that's in there, the horn hook, which has served us well for many, many years. Let's get this front wheel out of the way. And you just take this inner thing in here, this little bar that's got this nipple on it, and you lift it up, and you can pry that coupler out. So good looking couplers look like this. Don't throw these away, because there's guys out there that like them, that think they work just fine. So eventually you'll run into one, and then you can sell them to them, and then buy some beer. So keep those. And then this Whisker coupler, it does actually fit in here with almost no modification whatsoever. Push this little tit down to get it all the way in. And once it's in there, hey, look at that, I installed it upside down. Okay, well, to get to the point, it springs back and forth well, but it's got all this slack because that hole is bigger than the tip. Now, I've showed this a couple times in some of my other videos, this fuel line right here, which happens to be about the same diameter as the big hole on this Kadee. And you see how thick that bar is right there? That's how thick you have to cut this fuel line and make yourself a little spacer. So it looks like that. Now you see that we've filled up that space, and this coupler doesn't rock back and forth too much. What does it look like for track height though? Now that we got you in here, let's see what's going on. You can see that these couplers are too low. Now they're mounted on the truck, so you can't lift the body up like usual to make these work. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if you're going to do this to all of your rolling stock, just by putting the Kadee on there and then run it all with these Talgo trucks. Then all your couplers are going to be the same height anyway, because they're all truck mounted couplers. So solves that one problem right there. Are they off very far? You be the judge. It's off just a tiny bit. Is it because it's sagging or hanging? Maybe, because it's not in there very tight. Obviously the bar right here needs to be adjusted because it's hitting that. Another way to do this, go to your hobby store and you ask them for some of these Talgo truck adapters. Now these are fancier, a little fancier version, instead of putting some fuel line in there. Now the set says it does 24 cars or 24 ends. I don't know. Count these, but it's certainly for $3, it is dirt cheap. And what this has got going on, it's got the spacer in there already to hold these in better. So one would insert their Kadee. Then you insert this adapter, getting it centered up on your Kadee, and you also get it centered up on that pin that's in there. So once you got it all, you'll feel it snap. This thing's sitting at a 90 degrees to the truck adapter. And then you're going to take it and rotate it 90 degrees, keeping everything down and locked. So it'll look like this when it's all said and done. So there's the T-bar that I just put in, and now it is holding this coupler, and it is locked into this draft box right here. See, the pin is right there, centered up on everything, and this coupler is mounted in there. Put this back in the car. Now we've got Kadees on our cars for dirt cheap. Now these are with the Talgo truck adapters, and that is matching up really good. That's not really allowing that coupler to sag like it did with the fuel line. Who could ask for anything more? Kadees on a Tyco, just for dirt cheap. And the third and absolute best way to update couplers on these low-end units with Talgo trucks is to end up doing what's called a body mount. See, they say when you've got the couplers on here, as long as you're pulling straight, it's all real good. But when you go to back up, and if you got a lot of cars on and then the weight, especially if you're going around a corner, then since it's pushing on the wheels, it has a tendency to make them derail and create a lot of conflict. So the medium and higher end cars, they've all got the couplers, what they call body mounted. The draft box is up in here. So we're going to show you how to do that. You're going to need some of these 242 universal black box draft boxes that just snap together. And then of course, once again, I'm using the 148s, which is the standard Whisker head, standard length, no offset up or down. So you take a top, you take a bottom off, trim this stuff off right here. There's no reason to be having that on there, and it just makes you one more better. Now I like to glue the box to the body. So install these couplers with the air hose going down, because this is upside down. There's a small word on here that says Kadee. So when you put these on, make sure you can read the word Kadee. Snap them together, and that's a done deal. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to put that here on the end of this car frame. But these got a bit of a slope to them right in here. This particular car. Now box cars or something will be a lot different, but you got to start off with a flat area. So I've got this chisel blade right here that I can come through, and I can shave this down and make it flat. The length of the gearbox, so our gearbox will fit there. And on this end of the car, there's a flange sitting right there. So you want that flange to line up with the end of your car. That way you don't get it in too deep, or you don't get it out too far. The flange lines up with the very end of the car. Now these little joist things right here, you recognize them as the stuff, if you don't put that back on the loaf of bread, the little lady gets unbelievably mad at you. So I definitely recommend waiting for the bread to be empty before you steal one of these. Now I know for a fact that I have to have a spacer under there, because I did a test car a little earlier today, and that coupler is up too high. We're getting rid of this coupler pocket on the Talgo trucks, and we're gonna put a body mounted pocket on there. And we need to space the draft box farther down this way, so we get the correct coupler height when it's sitting on the trucks. And when it's too high, you got to lower the box on the body. If it's too low, you put spacers in between the trucks on this pin right here, and then you space the body higher up on the trucks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a couple pieces of this, the proper thickness or the proper size, so that it looks nice. When you're in here doing this, fellers, remember that somebody might pick your car up and look underneath of it. So don't just put some big scabby thing like this on there. Let's make sure we make it look really nice. So just in case somebody does pick up your car, you don't have to go, oh, my kid did that, blame the kid. Sure. From my first inspection, I believe it's gonna take 2 of these things from what I've seen with my first car. This is just kind of once you do 100 of them, then a guy's gonna know. So I've glued these 2 together I'm gonna give them about 4 nanoseconds to dry. And then I sneak in, steal one of the little lady's nail files, and you can clean these up to make them look pretty. My goal is to have this fit underneath this box and not have it look bad. And so far, I've accomplished it. I'm gonna leave the snap-on lid, I'm gonna let it have an ability to come off. So I'm going to glue this to the top of the draft box, what I'm calling the top today. We're gonna give this a little taste right here. Remember, I'm just gluing the box to the body. The coupler is still fully capable of being swapped out if it need be. While we're waiting for the glue to dry, we're going to cut this coupler mount off of these Talgo trucks because we do not need it anymore. There's a bit of a ridge right here, so I'm just going to cut this off. We're going to give it a little file, so that way it kind of looks like the back of the truck also, which has got kind of a rounded pattern to it. So there is a Talgo truck that's been modified. We'll put the stock one back on, and we're going to check this for proper coupler height. See that? I made it too low. 2 breadbasket things, too much. Should have only done 1. But that's okay. I can just take it off because I just use a little bit of glue to hold it on, and I can give another go at it. I've taken out one of those spacers, and it's still just a little on the low side. There's some gap in that thing, so I would have to almost sometimes wonder if it doesn't need any spacer whatsoever, or it needs a thinner spacer. Maybe these bread bags, you can see it just sitting in there a little bit, might be just a little bit much. That's pretty gosh darn close right there. I'm going to run with 1 because I know the thickness of those, and I'd need a thinner one, or you use some plastic from your windows or something to space that out. July 29th, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I just looked at my account and I've now finally got 1,000 subscribers. So it took 8 months to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Me and my best bud Kurt over here, we were building an engine for my hot rod, second time around. So this is what I do when I'm not making films for train stuff. So super happy. Thank you guys so much. So this is awesome. I'm super stoked. This is now got framed couplers on it. I cut this Talgo truck already. This would be the completed update for couplers. This one here, the air hose or the trip pin as it is in the way. So you're gonna take these fancy jeweler pliers, come over here on the arc and give it a little bit of a squeeze to lift the bottom of that pin up, to put more of an arch into it, and it ends up getting it higher up off the ground. So when we go now to couple, it doesn't hang up. The final thing that I would like to do is going to be to drill this hole out, tap it, and put a bolt in, just to make it just that one more completely better. And of course, for that, you need your 246 tap and drill bit, and you need a tap holder to hold the tap. This comes with 2 drill bits in it. This one here is for clearance. This one here is for tapping. So if you want to tap threads in, use the smaller of the 2 drill bits to drill and tap that out. I'm going to use my pin vise. Of course, we've already got a hole right there. So now all we got to do is be very patient and hand drill this out. And of course you could use an electric drill if one was so inclined. So that took, what, less than a minute, I believe. Take our tap, get it in that hole. This is why the tap holder is so nice. You can see the tap coming through up over here on this side. 256 by 1/4 inch machines. And we are going to screw this on. I can see it coming up just a little bit right in that area. So that coupler ain't going nowhere. Do the same on this other side. After installing the bolts, now we've got a body mounted Kadee couplers update on it. We've cut the Talgos off of our trucks, so that is coupler updates for these simpler cars. Now a person could run it like this if they were so inclined, but we want to put metal wheels on it. So these trucks, of course, they come out really easy. Get rid of these axles, and we're going to use one of these Micro Mark truck tuners. Now this one here, I've adapted it from its stock the way it normally looks. It normally look like this. But you see, I've cut that washer off on the inside. The reason that I've done that is because if you have just a plain Talgo truck and you just are happy with the horn hook couplers, but you want to put some metal wheels in, you can't get that thing in there and turn it because the coupler adapter is in the way. I've modified this one by cutting off that big washer So you can jam this in there and you can still spin it even though the truck adapter is in the way. You have to use a needle nose pliers to turn it. Remember, they are directional. So you give it a crank like this. And this is how you can cut these Talgos down in order to get the metal wheels inside of them. Pop it out, knock the other side out. And of course the back side is easy enough because you can get your fingers on it to do the cutting. Turning it the opposite direction because it's only got a one-way cutter on it. Now our metal wheels will fit inside these Talgos really nicely. Oh yeah. We're gonna tune these trucks up. These are the original Tyco trucks right here. The Talgos, we've just cut off the coupler on them. So this is, of course, same procedure for getting metal wheels on it. So after cutting this with the truck tuner, I've now got 4 metal wheels. These are the stock original Talgo trucks that came with this Tyco car. Kadee's, everything about it is wonderful. Let's take it to the track, see how it rolls. It's my little downhill slope right here, and holy moly. Here's a stock, untuned Tyco car for comparison. I do got just one Kadee on this one, but now we got to just put it to the proper weight, and this car is done. Using my Weightmaster 4000 here, the graduated numbers on the track tells me how much the car should weigh. I'm not measuring the couplers, I'm measuring the car length. We're at 2.7, we need to add 1 ounce to get this to be 3.7. Oh sure. Now the downside about these cars is that they don't have a load in them, and you put these weights in them, then it looks silly. So either build a load that weighs 1 ounce or something, you know. Some guys will put a piece of cardboard over the top and then they'll glue ballast into it to make it look like a pile. You can get ballast in all kinds of colors to make it look like a load. Lots of things that one could do. Of course, these weights, they're not that hard to pull out. If I'm going to weight this car 1 more ounce, I'm centering the weights over the axles, over the truck assemblies. Now this car is properly weighted. Might want just a little bit more. Do I feel like putting it in? I don't know. Yep. Proper weight. Now, if you're not truly happy with the Tyco trucks, even after they've been completely tuned up, Tichy Train Group sells these Betthendorf truck frames. I don't know how old this box is. 10 pairs, you can do 10 cars, $14.50 for the whole box. So it's pretty cheap. And these look like this. Now these are held on with a screw, whereas these are pressed in. Now these, of course, allow a lot of side to side along with rotational force. So if you wanted to make it one more better, I'll show you how you do that. These holes right here have to be filled up. So what you do is you get yourself some old Sprue trees. The plastic stuff that's left over when you're building a model. And you find a diameter. I just need to put this into a different fractions. And the last time I checked, this was 5/32. So I'm gonna drill these out to 5/32s. So I can insert that inside there. Just a little bit. You don't need to go in too far. We're gonna take this and cut it down, maybe 1/4 inch long. I guess I should get a little saw. Then you're gonna glue this into the truck and it plugs this hole. You're gonna make it flush with the top of what's here. We're gonna let this glue set up. Once the glue set up, we're gonna make sure these are nice and flat. We're gonna take our same 256 drill bit right here. We're gonna get right into the center of that. We're gonna hand drill a hole for the new bolt that's going to go in there. And being centered, it's pretty, you need to be right on. You really do, because this is what's going to center up the trucks and everything else. Drilled it, now we're going to tap it very carefully. 256 by 1/4 inch machine bolts. Slip some fresh wheels into these. Oh yeah. And then we will bolt this on to this Tyco body. Now these, of course, you can now tune the truck. So here we have it. This truck, I want rotational force like this, and I want a little bit of side to side like this. This one I want rotation, but I don't want any side to side. This has got a little frame flexing in there, but now there's absolutely no difference between this cheap $2 Tyco car and a newer $50 car other than the detail. It's got the exact same couplers, same wheels, updated trucks. You know, if a guy wanted to get real cute, you can cut these off and you can install handmade wire steps to get up there. You can put the details on. Now, the details for me is just something that I can break off. But the performance of a high-end car coming out of a low-end car, to me, is just the absolute bomb. So looking at my little list of prices here, since I buy Kadees in bulk, 50 at a time, spending 99 cents a piece on them, so 2 brand new Kadees for this $2 Tyco car cost me $1.98. The wheel sets, since I'm buying them 100 at a time, each wheel set's only costed 94 cents a piece. So times 4, $3.76 for brand new metal wheels for this $2 car. The trucks, those trucks, if that price was current, I don't know how old that box was, $1.45 for a pair. 2 trucks for $1.45. So, and then I figure a couple of them little machine screws, 13 cents a piece, come to 26 cents. That's why I figured out tuning up this car with all these updates on it, $7.45 for a $2 to $4 car, pretty much any day, average day. Very, very common car. This car is going to run phenomenal. I can't wait till I redo this to all my other cars so I can have a nice little string of them. I'll have to find myself some fake loads up there. Had an absolute blast sharing this information with you. If you've enjoyed what you see, please consider subscribing. Hit that little button below, hit the icon. Really helps a guy out. Since I just got advanced from a no paid intern to a very low paid intern, I'm just stoked. Have a good one. Bye-bye.